Hey everyone, it's Anthony here with the Mashup. We wanted to give you a little disclaimer before this episode airs. This is the first time that we're going to be releasing an episode before a Friday, and there's really good reason for it. Kenny, can you give us a quick explanation about why we're dropping this episode before our standard Friday episode?
Well, this whole episode you will hear is refer to this episode dropping on Friday and this particular bottle that we're talking about being released on the previous Wednesday, and maybe log on to see if they're still available. Well, we really feel that a lot of our listeners hopefully would enjoy this bottle a lot. So we're going to actually drop this episode early in order for them to hopefully have a chance at this bottle, because we actually feel it might sell out before Friday for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have a chance to listen this week and you hear us talk about this bottle from Bourbon Lore and Ben Holladay Distillery, we hope that you'll check out bourbonoutfitter.com and consider ordering this bottle.
Yeah, so if you hear us talk about Friday, we are not going to edit all that out. We just really felt it was important to drop this episode before Wednesday, because that's when the official drop is on bourbonoutfitter.com.
And you'll get more Mashup content, so who could argue with that?
And use the code THEMASHUP.
That's right. Hello, and welcome to episode 149 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We are your hosts, Stephen, Kenny, and Anthony. What's going on, fellas?
What's up?
It's a fella, I guess, and another fella, a guest fella.
Yeah, I don't see Steven.
Yeah, so Steven was, I think, what's he doing, an Easter egg hunt today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he said he was doing an Easter egg hunt. We got to put that out
Pin
there.
the tail on the bunny.
Yeah, exactly. You're hilarious. I love it. And then, he's being a family man today, okay? He's being a family man, so we are happy to welcome back someone who is with us on episode 139.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. He's giving him the big intro. But let's give a big Mashup welcome to Ryan Alves. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? It took me 35 years to do my first podcast, and now I've done 3 in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Where else had you appeared, Sarah?
Journey Drinkers.
That's right. Very good.
You got a lot to offer, though, man. So it's one of those things where this should be a more routine thing for you.
Well, we'll see.
Because you got a lot to offer.
I don't like giving up all my secrets.
That's true, though. That's true.
Yeah, there's something about being mysterious, right?
Yeah,
People don't
I
know
like
what's...
being in the background.
See, there you go.
I like kind of connecting and making moves.
Well, if you like being in the background, we like having you here once in a while.
Like a voyeur or something?
Yeah, maybe.
A lurker? What are we doing here?
A lurker. Yeah, there we go.
Right.
I'm usually lurking.
I didn't know he was in that group.
I'm usually lurking in the chat, for sure.
No, I lurk a lot online.
Yeah.
In fact...
Well, I do, too, because there's so many groups that are, like, not really... I don't really like them, but I'm in them, and I'm just looking to see like the craziness and weird stuff that goes on in them.
Don't you like when you get the everyone tag from the same people of a group that you've never participated in?
Yeah,
like 10 times in a row. I always send a message like,
but it says that you've been tagged in a post, and so I get excited and I go and look, and it's just like, everyone.
You're like, I felt special for for 2 seconds, and now I don't feel special anymore. But So, gents, I didn't even get a chance to tell you, we're trying to acknowledge that we, recorded the podcast again the day after. This is actually Sunday. This episode will be dropping on March 29th. But yesterday, guess what I had the chance to do? Speaking of groups and people and things here locally, do you guys know what I did yesterday?
I do not.
Was that your panel or what? Or
what is tomorrow?
Well, no, I did do the panel. I want to talk about that, but maybe we'll talk about that tonight or another episode.
Yesterday was Saturday.
Yeah. Think big box liquor store in town.
Oh, Total Wine Raffle. Oh, no, Liquor Barn Raffle.
Liquor Barn Raffle.
Liquor Barn BTAG Raffle.
Yeah, so Kenny, was that last year or was that 2 years ago?
I went last year with you.
So last year we went to it was a zoo.
Cold and it was
cold in the zoo and everything else. And this year, actually, guys, not as many people there. In fact, I talked to a couple of people, because folks that were there knew the management of the establishment and stuff like that. And we figured that we probably had about a 1 in 8 or 1 in 9 chance of getting one of the bottles. For those people who don't know, every year for the longest time here in the Bluegrass, Liquor Barn has sort of held their allocation of BTAC, and and Pappy's. And then they do usually an in-person raffle. Through COVID, they did it online, and everybody hated that. And so I've been going to those since maybe 2016, and this was the second one I've been to since COVID. And even with those great odds and not as many people in the store, I still came up as a big fat loser. So
I saw one guy post that him and his two sons, all three won.
I know. What are the odds of that happening? So a guy goes with his two sons.
Your good buddy Steve, I saw that he didn't even go. Sent his
firefighter Steve, man.
Sent his daughters, and then they won. I think
he got a handy, dude.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that won yesterday. I didn't win, but the one thing is I got out there and I got to talk to a lot of people in the community, and that was a lot of fun because we oftentimes mix it up online and we don't have a chance to actually sit around and converse. So I was doing a lot of parking lot pours. I don't know if I should say that, but I was, and sharing a lot of goodness with people.
Do you have your mashup t-shirt on?
I did, but it was so cold.
Yeah.
My mashup t-shirt wasn't fashionable, so I had to leave the jacket on because it was about 38 degrees and windy.
I don't think you're wearing a jacket.
What?
I don't think you're wearing a jacket.
What was I wearing?
A parka.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had one of my world famous parkas on.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
And I won't say who did this, but one of the, we can't swear, but one of the smart guys in the local community walked up to me and said, "Hey, is that your wife's jacket?" I said, "Hey, thanks a lot, buddy." I said, "Yeah, it's because I had like a furry hood on my jacket, you know, so he accused it of being my wife's jacket." But that was fun. And I just thought I would mention, even though I didn't win, it's always nice to go out to those things and have a good time. What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of barrel picks, man.
Of course you have.
Several of them thanks to Ryan, but I've had a lot of barrel picks, had a few evenings of sipping.
Right.
Hector came over the other day.
Oh, Hector was in town, huh?
Yep. And nice. He brought this orphan barrel, the new Indigo's Hour.
Oh, really?
For us to crack. And he left it here for us to do an episode on the podcast on it, too.
Oh, man. I love you, Hector. Thank you for leaving these nice bottles behind.
No, he came over, man. We sipped for a while. Just a few picks, man. And the other day, I went down to J-Hob, and we were blinding some rare character exceptionals. Mm-hmm. And
who's this rare character you speak of? I've never heard of them.
Yeah, that one was
just kidding.
a six bottle blind, about 12:30. So by like 4:00, I was asleep, and I slept till like 7:30.
He did. He called me back. And
a little day drinking got me, dude.
That was a night of the tournament game, right?
Yeah, I woke up when
game had already started.
Had already started, and we were already losing, and I was like, "What's going on now?" And then ended up watching the rest of the game, and I was just like, "Wow,
right,
horrible."
Ryan, do you go crazy over UK sports, or you just kind of?
I used to. Sports used to be a big part of my life. If anybody listened to the episode that I previously did,
they all did. They all did.
Yes, it is the most listened to episode.
Yes, absolutely.
Sports is a big part of my life, and obviously being a sports journalist right out of college for 6 or 7 years, kind of pushed that forward. I would say sports has become less important to me over the last 5 years for whatever reasons. But I still love UK. I was very frustrated the other night. All good things must come to an end.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're at that point.
So we were joking around last week and talking about, and Kenny said, we could either be a Final Four championship team or we could be out in the first round. And that didn't age well. Well, I guess you were spot on your analysis. Yeah. But
towards the end, though, I did say, we will definitely make it out of the first round.
Yeah, we thought
that's where I was wrong.
Yeah, we thought Sweet 16.
But my initial thing was saying could 100% lose first round and win the whole thing.
Right.
It's crazy the way that team plays.
One dude going off for 40 and bad defense and no adjustments and pitiful performance all around.
It really annoys me because I moved here in 2011 and instantly got a championship, right?
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, it's arrived. I'm in the city of champions. It's going to be like this forever. And coming from the Cleveland area, we didn't have much to celebrate sports-wise, of course, until the Cavaliers won. And now it's like, I don't know. I feel like you guys do, and y'all been around a lot longer than I have. So everyone's like, every fan base turns on the UK coach at some point, a basketball coach. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, but still, like, it's not like the last 4 years have been great here. So maybe that's why you're not feeling so good about sports because of the...
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I just think it's pretty simple. Like, we have a pretty high bar. We've not hit that bar, especially in the postseason. It's just time for a change.
Yeah.
It's going to be an expensive one.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But
I'm reading all the news reports, and they're all saying that change might not happen just because of the expense.
Yeah, it's from what not to get like too nerdy. This isn't a sports podcast, but
oh no, please.
What I've understood is that it's not a lump sum. I'll do it once. It is a monthly payout for the life of the contract. So if he were to go, we would have to pay him $34 million over 12 months for 5 years.
Oh my God.
So it's like
he's Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, so it's like it's pretty good.
Bobby Bonilla, right?
And it's all just based on the contracts. There are some people that have contracts where you have to pay them up front immediately, and then some where you kind of pay it out. So it's not like we have to pay $34 million instantly. It's much smaller payments, but for a while.
So we'll see. Brett, if he gets another coaching job, whatever he gets paid at that coaching job
comes off
of what we owe him.
Oh,
there's a lot
good.
of like contract stipulations that not as simple as here's $34 million. There's a lot of things that go into it. So
we'll see. Who knew your sports journalism was going to come into back into play here?
I still lurk. Like I'm a big lurker, but it just doesn't bother me as much. I was over it that night. I cashed a couple of sports bets, so I didn't care.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm still not betting. I haven't placed a single bet since the apps came live. So, have you, Kenny?
Nope, I don't bet.
Yeah, that's right. You don't even do randos.
I don't even do randos or raffles and on bourbon stuff. I have the worst luck.
So you guys want to know how hardcore Kenny is on this edge of not doing any kind of randos for bourbon or anything? Caleb, our buddy Caleb Joy, posted a charity rando in one of the local groups, and Kenny commented, "Hey, I'm just going to donate. I don't want any spots. Thank you."
I did.
He's like, I don't even want the chance to win.
I donated money, but do not give me a spot.
He's like, screw you.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that's nice that you supported Caleb when he was doing that. That was pretty cool. So anything else you guys want to mention?
Well, man, today, number one, we're gathered pretty early today.
Yeah, we are.
Way earlier than normal. But our boy Addison from out of state came by.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You guys just met him. He's a longtime listener and one of my online bourbon buddies.
Yeah.
He grabbed some things and he left me a good sample of Michter's 23 Rye.
What? He just pulled up, here's a sample of Michter's 23 Rye?
Yeah, I gave him a sample of my old Louisville pick.
Oh, my goodness.
He's in town.
He got the short end of the deal on that one.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I got to have fun with you.
Yeah, well, no, I would say he did. I mean, my old Louisville pick's good.
I'm just messing with you, man.
But yeah, so he definitely said he enjoyed the podcast. So are there any shout outs or anything lately? Anybody else that enjoys the podcast you know of? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really cool to meet Addison. That was really added bonus. Like, pull up and I'm like, who's this guy? And then we meet him and I'm like, oh, cool.
And he's from Missouri. So
he's from Missouri.
So ties all in today.
That's perfect. Yeah, exactly.
And we haven't announced what we're doing today, but it does tie into that.
Oh, it'll tie right in. It'll be perfect.
And his car is just like Anthony's.
Oh yeah, he had the same car as me and everything.
Yeah,
that couldn't have been a coincidence.
We should probably replace Anthony with him.
Probably.
That's it. I'm out. But we actually did have a new review come through on Apple Podcasts, and the title of the review was 10 out of 10, and it's a 5-star review, so that's great. And this listener said, "Keep the awkward conversations going, guys," with my favorite emoji, like the smiling teeth emoji, in the reviews too. He said the blind samples episodes are the best, thanks to Mr. Kenny. Ooh. You got a fan out there. And this came to us from Sanch D on Apple Podcasts. I always love these usernames because I'm trying to figure out who these people are.
Right.
But
there was no figuring out last week's.
Yeah, last week's was great.
It was like
it you, Ryan?
17 letters all just punched on a keyboard like you was
I don't
randomly.
think it was me.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, we really appreciate that review of the podcast. And if you would like a shout out, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, reach out to us on Instagram, and we will make sure we acknowledge you.
Yeah, we really do appreciate those.
Yep.
So, fellers.
Yes, sir.
How does Addison and where he's from tie into today?
Well, we have a very special bottle, and that's kind of why Ryan is here as well.
Yep.
So the bottle that we have for you today is the Ben Holladay 7-year-old 18-barrel blend that comes to us in collaboration with the distillery and bourbon lore. The distillery, of course, is the Holladay Distillery in Weston, Missouri. The bottle date is 2024. The ABV on this bottle is 59.3. The proof is 118.6. The mash bill, Ryan, this is a traditional bourbon mash bill, right?
OG mash, yep.
So it's a 73 corn, 15% rye, and 12% malted barley. And the MSRP on this is $99.99, and it's exclusively available through bourbonoutfitter.com. And it also was available at the distillery, but it was sold out in how long?
45 minutes.
45 minutes, sold out. So, dang, we're really excited to try this bottle tonight, and also to have you here to sort of talk us through how this came to be.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss because a lot of us, I mean, myself included, I know a little bit about bourbon lore, but not a lot. So, and I say a lot of people don't know a lot about it. So,
well, thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm a part of Bourbon Lore, and we provided the podcast with this bottle to review. So, try to keep it as unbiased as possible today. But
right, and I'm really excited that you did. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, of course.
So, real quickly, before we get into talking about Bourbon Lore, I want to talk a little bit about the packaging here, because to me, we talked about the original Ben Holladay Bottle and Bond. That was just a few episodes ago.
Right,
we still got it over there.
Yep.
There are subtle differences to this. It has raised lettering. It also has like a nice like contrast to it, and then it also has these awesome stickers that say Bourbon Lore, where legends are celebrated. And then also worth mentioning, Kenny, do you see what number bottle that is and out of on top here?
This is bottle 166 out of 2982.
So only 2982 total bottles of this?
Yeah, 497 cases to be exact. They had about 150 bottles at the distillery yesterday.
Okay.
We did like a Bourbon Lore gift shop takeover.
Awesome.
Which was really cool. We had our merch there. Emerson, good friend Emerson, and member of Bourbon Lore, was on site with some content creator, videographers and stuff. We took over the gift shop. We had the bottle for sale, merch, tastings, all kinds of stuff.
Man, that sounds awesome.
Yep, it was really cool.
And then can you tell me a little bit about this box as we're talking? Because this is probably the coolest. I mean, the bottle looks nice, but this box that it comes in, I mean, I love this kind of stuff. So, talk to us a little bit about this.
Well, the box was designed and created by partners of Bourbon Lore, Lincoln Design Co., Dan Jansen, who heads up Lincoln, specifically put it together. We drew inspiration from our good friends at Blackwood. A very similar style box. Actually, when Bourbon Lore was on a Kentucky trip, Dan saw the box and was like, "Oh man, this is great. Can you kind of figure out where they got this produced?" We ended up hooking up with the same people that made the Blackwood one, and then they kind of, I think, took it to the next level as far as the details, the embossing, the foil, even the inside pattern is really cool. The box,
right? I agree. You see that, Kenny? It's got like the Bourbon Lore logo in there, and it's pretty cool.
Like the whole inside of the box is fully
designed.
Fully designed on the inside.
Yep.
A box is a box. It doesn't impact the juice, but I think as far as an overall package, I think it looks really, really great. And we wanted to do something a little extra. The bottles that they had at the distillery yesterday did not have the sort of extra accents. Those will only be available this week on Bourbon Outfitter.
Nice.
All the bottles that we have at Bourbon Outfitter are also numbered.
Wow.
Kyle Merkline, the master distiller, also threw us a huge help, and he signed an entire pallet's worth of whiskey.
Oh, wow.
Which was like 550 bottles or something like that. I have this great video of him like signing a bunch of them to this like song. It's very funny, but so he said after he did that, he came to Kentucky when you guys met him before the last or the other podcast you did, and I told him I owed him a big dinner because his hand was probably pretty sore. Signing 500 bottles is no joke. We put stickers. I spent 2 days in DC last week putting stickers on all the bottles. No joke.
So this is all hand done.
It was all hand done.
Wow.
Took 2 days. In the first 100 orders on when we drop this coming week, we'll all get signed bottles by Kyle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
So when is this dropping on Bourbon Outfitter?
Well, by the time the podcast comes out, obviously it will already be on sale. Podcast is coming out on Friday. On Monday, we're doing like a bourbonlore.com early access sign up VIP drop for people that have gone to bourbonlore.com, use their sign up feature to get information type of thing. Those people are going to get first access. They're going to have access for 48 hours. And then Wednesday, it will have been on sale at Bourbon Outfitter publicly.
Okay.
So if you're hearing this on Friday, worth a shot to go back up. We've got,
so there's a chance it could be sold out.
There is a chance.
There's a chance.
Like, I hope so. But,
okay.
But it's a lot of bottles. We've got, close to 3,000 bottles. So,
right.
There's a pretty good chance that you should be able to get one.
Okay.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah. So it's going to drop Wednesday officially
Wednesday
for
is the
everybody.
public drop where our email blast from Bourbon Outfitter is going to go out. It'll be visible on the website on the main page. We've kind of got an anchor banner.
Okay.
The first thing when you log on, you'll see it right there. You can click on the banner. It'll take you right to the bottle.
So if you hear this Friday,
Yeah.
log on to Bourbon Outfitter and definitely give it a check.
Yeah, Kenny, when Ryan was talking about the box, I saw you making some smiley faces. Did you have any other thoughts you wanted to explain there? Because you were, I was trying to read
you said
your
it was
facial
like
expressions over here.
raised lettering on the bottle.
Yeah.
So the inside, the box also has that raised filling
really?
too. So it's like, it's kind of a neat, just has a good feel to the bottle and the box both.
Yeah, something about the accents and everything that
Put
are
a
on
little
here
something
too.
extra into it.
I love it. And I just have to read this for a second because I think this is going to be a good segue into talking about how this came to be before we get into nosing it and tasting it. So the box says that this is made with authenticity and gratitude. Indulge in the camaraderie of bourbon lore, a special gathering of aficionados, collectors, and connoisseurs united by their adoration for the pinnacle of American whiskey craftsmanship. I mean, that just makes me want to just know what the heck's going on here. And I know some people think that kind of stuff is cheesy, but I think that's done really well. And I like it. I like the branding and everything. So, but here I sit here and I know literally nothing about bourbon lore.
Sure.
Kenny, you know anything about bourbon lore?
Just what Ryan has shared with me, and I've seen a couple of their videos. I did watch the video of your all's pick on this.
Yeah, definitely. If you go to
that was
YouTube,
that was a cool little video.
YouTube.com/bourbon lore. There's a lot of content that we've put out. They've got an incredible team of content producers from Lincoln Design and then Daring Creative, videographers, photographers. Lincoln Design does some of the biggest graphic and content work for some of the biggest brands in the world. We're talking like brands like Mountain Dew, Monster Energy, Mattel, WWE.
Oh man, some of my favorite.
Tony Hawk, Kubota tractors.
There you
go. They're all over the place. They're incredible.
Cirillas.
And if any of those names you just shout out want to sponsor our podcast, please go ahead.
Sure.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
So basically, we have these trips that they kind of come and do content on. You can find all that at bourbonlore.com for sure, but also on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think there's even a LinkedIn page. Like, we're pretty much everywhere at this point.
Right.
So there's a ton of content consumed. That a lot of it is shorter format, reels, really bite-sized content, which I think is, in the world that we're in today, is very consumable for people.
Right.
And then even the longer videos, maybe like 8 minutes. It's not super long. Asking. There's a couple of podcasts too that we've done. And
well, that's the thing. See, that kind of stuff is really good for, bourbon media in that particular form is great. And we do a great job at podcasting. We don't do a good job at the other stuff. So, obviously there are leaps and bounds ahead of us, but I did get to check out some of that stuff and I thought it was cool. So we know a little bit about it here, but how does bourbon lore start? What is the, I guess give the synopsis that you can, and because I'm getting excited here. I want to start trying this whiskey.
It started, really simply with one man's kind of dream and vision. A good friend of mine, Mason Walker, he's from out west, grew up, I believe, in the Arizona area, and grew up in a family-owned antique shop. So he has this very passionate and deep connection to the Wild Wild West and American history and, the Western frontier. And
actually, look at the Ben Holladay bottle.
Yeah.
Right.
Just even the regular 6-year Ball and Bond. It's a stage, it's a coach.
Yeah.
Right. It was a very easy connection with Ben Holladay because of that, right?
Right.
Mason, honestly, I met him in 2021, and he just walked into the shop one day, didn't know him. He immediately started asking me some questions that I thought, okay, well, this guy kind of knows more maybe than the average person. Kind of had a huge collection, has been a huge bourbon fan for a long time. Expressed to me that, like, I've got this huge collection, but I'm at a point to where to further my collection, I'm going to have to spend a crap ton of money to get these bottles.
Right.
And I'm sort of been priced out on where my collection can go. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to do what other people do and just sell it to an auction house. I would like to do more than that with it.
Okay.
So what he did was sort of create a brand around his collection. And it's called the Bourbon Lore Collection.
Oh, that's awesome.
He hired a lot of great people that I've talked about to come and do content around his collection.
Okay.
Very, very high-end photography, white background photography. He created a book, kind of had all these ideas of like what I want to do with it. It's a group of enthusiasts, collectors, as the box says, enthusiast, collector, connoisseurs, that are just super passionate about whiskey, that want to do something more than just do what we do often, is come and hang out in Kenny's basement. Right. Which is great and awesome, especially when you have people that want to share and love sharing, and Mason does that.
Right.
But he also just kind of wanted to do something a little different.
Yeah.
It's a business too at the end of the day, so there's some financial opportunities that can happen with that.
Yeah.
The goal, though, is to get like-minded people together doing things that aren't the average bottle share.
Okay.
And throughout the year, we've had a couple in 2023, but you'll start seeing every year there are going to be these Bourbon Lore hosted events.
Okay.
They're going to be pretty high end. We did one in November in Scottsdale. We spent 3 or 4 days in Scottsdale over a weekend. Did some really cool stuff. Took private planes over the Grand Canyon. Did a Grand Canyon tour. Landed on.
Was that freaky at all? Was that like?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't. Flying doesn't scare me.
Yeah. Helicopter or planes?
Plane. They were like smaller twin engine prop planes. So they were pretty small, but I loved it. I thought it was awesome. There were some people that didn't have a great experience. Dan Shook from the Bourbon Junkies will never fly on a prop plane ever again. He told me that. That's funny. He didn't have a great time. But I mean, he gets car sick driving to Walmart. Okay. So, I don't really take. But we landed.
Was Sean there?
Sean was there. He didn't have a great time either. That whole plane, Alec was on that plane, and I think Alec Rubin from Alec Bradley Cigars, and I think that they had a rough time.
Oh, man.
My pilot was awesome. We were having a blast. It was cool. But eventually we landed at the rim of the Grand Canyon, and then standing at the rim, I think we're at the South Rim, we opened an A.H. Hirsch 16 year on the Grand Canyon, shared it, passed it around. Everybody got to kind of have this like very cool moment.
Right.
And these are all bourbon enthusiasts from, me, the Bourbon Junkies were there, Alec Rubin, Connor O'Driscoll, Master Distiller at Heaven Hill.
Wow.
Chef Edward Lee was there. Clay Risen, another Bourbon Lore founding member.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of Clay.
Clay's
big whiskey writer, right? Yeah.
Big whiskey writer.
Yeah.
New York Times bestseller, has 4 or 5 different really badass books.
Yeah.
I would definitely advise you to pick some of those up. They're great. And then to, influencers,
right.
Frank Dobbins, Bourbon Enthusiasm, Nate Ghana from Single Malt Daily, Zach Johnson from Uprocks. It was a big group of awesome people.
Frank was there.
Yeah.
I got a chance to meet Frank once at the Blue Run event.
He's awesome.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Trey Wade was there from Blue Run.
Oh, nice. Very good.
It was a really cool event we had in Scottsdale all weekend, and we had private dinners and parties.
This is stuff that I'm never going to be able to get to do.
It is that, but that's the point. Is to do something a little more than your average. Just kind of get together.
Oh, I think
where
it's
everybody
awesome.
just gets brings a bottle and you just drink. There was just more to it than that.
Right.
We wanted to. It all kind of went back to history too. So like we in Scottsdale, where Mason's from, he has a deep connection there. Mm-hmm. We went to museums and we talked about, the history of the West, and it was just a little more than just your average bottle share. And that's sort of the point, is to find a deeper connection to something that we all love.
Right.
Building friendships, building relationships, building business relationships. I mean, those are really important, obviously.
Yep.
And then the connection with Ben Holladay was pretty easy. The first person I put Mason in contact with back in 2021, because he told me, I want to do a book. Like, I want to do like a big coffee table book, and that's coming. So the first part I was like, well, easy. I don't know how you can do the other stuff, but I know one guy, his name's David Jennings, Rare Bird 101.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote the book on Wild Turkey. That's the guy that you should talk to now. Get connected with him. and then it kind of snowballed. David introduced him to a couple people. Mason ended up coming to Kentucky on a pick with us, and we went to Willett for lunch afterwards. We go to Willett, we walk in, and we have a reservation. At the bar is Pablo Moy from Rare Character and Emerson Shotwell, now is a member of Bourbon Lore. Emerson is probably the country's foremost expert on Willett. And he started the WFE app, if anybody has it on their phone.
Yep.
They were just at the bar, and then seemingly everybody just kind of like knew each other, and like Mark Carter was with us that day, and so it was just like a who's who, and just kind of all found
It seems
each
like
other.
you have a lot of like representation from different walks of life.
Yeah.
I don't hear an appliance salesman in that group though. So I believe there's I think you're missing an appliance salesman to help like equal things out.
Oh, Kenny's angling over there.
I mean,
trying to play those angles.
I kept waiting for that. I kept listening. Who's the appliance guy? Who's the appliance guy?
So it just kind of was natural connections that kind of snowballed.
Yeah.
Eventually Clay gets brought in. Eventually we sort of, and then Mason's business contacts, and everybody just sort of knows people, and you just bring people into the fold, and you realize that everybody just wants to do the same thing and push this industry forward.
Right. And it sounds like you have. So this is actually a relatively recent kind of group that's formed in business.
Yeah.
So how many total times has something like this happened with Bourbon Lore picking or doing a special release? If you can speak to that.
So we did our first one we did with Ben Holladay. We'll talk about it here in a second.
Okay.
We did that in September of 2023.
Okay.
So relatively soon, or relatively not that
so this
far
is
ago.
like brand new stuff.
Brand new.
Okay. I gotcha. Okay.
They came back in I think October for a Kentucky trip, and we were hosted at Maker's Mark, at Michter's. We went to Starlight, went to Wild Turkey.
Right.
Kind of did the tour for that. Picked barrels. Made collaborations, the groundwork to set on future collaborations, and was able to get a lot of content, which, the content is sort of is what driving.
Right.
It's sort of our business card. So
Well,
if you want to learn more, definitely go to bourbonlore.com. You can kind of click on all the links, and there's about me's and a place to sign up to get more info and to be one of the first people to hear about these releases when they come out,
right?
Because we're doing more of them. I can't talk about a couple of them because they're not anything final yet, but they're top secret with very large brands, distilleries. Like we got some cool stuff coming. We've got private barrels that are with some other brands and stuff like that. So if you're interested and want to learn more and also get kind of first dibs on some access to some cool stuff that we're doing, that's the place to do it.
Well, I will be signing up.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. Yeah,
and I already followed the accounts there. The mashup is following Bourbon Lore, and I think I was already following it on my personal account. So I knew of it in some way, shape, or form. But I think this is still the beginning stages, even though you're talking about all these things that have happened. We're talking about what, like maybe 9,000 Instagram followers.
Yeah, in a relatively short amount of time. I think we launched the Instagram in like August or maybe even September, like right before the holiday trip.
Right.
Like it's not been around for very long as like, a public entity, I guess.
Okay.
But we did some, really cool stuff, really getting everybody together. Like I said, just kind of sharing the slogan where legends are celebrated.
Yep.
Kind of is double entendre. Mason's whiskey collection is incredible. Obviously celebrating the legends of whiskey.
Right.
And that way, the website's eventually going to be a pretty cool spot to go and learn the history of bourbon and find out about all these really cool bottles.
Hidden Barn, like batch 11.
Yeah, right.
That's
you just couldn't let it go, could you, Kenny?
Couldn't let it do.
You didn't bring up Hidden Barn.
And the same with the coffee table book that I know is being worked on by Clay and their team. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Okay.
David and Clay have been working on that for a while now. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. I could probably talk about it for another hour. But I think we should try the whiskey, and then I can kind of talk about how this connection happened and what the actual process was like. Yeah,
let's start nosing here, Kenny. I know. Yeah. Are you ready?
I've been nosing a little bit already, and
if you've been nosing, then we're gonna have to hear your notes because you always have like you always say I just don't do it. You can't pull them out, but you're gonna pull them out now.
I mean I've been nosing. It's definitely sweet on the nose. I get a little of.
Just dunked myself in the glass.
Just dunked there. You guys saw that. Very good.
I like your glass, Anthony.
Yeah, so this is actually the prototype for the first ever mashup Glencairn that this
My
is your son
Jacob
did this,
made,
right?
yeah.
And I'm assuming he did this with some kind of a sandblasting type of thing.
Yep.
Nice.
So I actually tried to get some Glencairns made just from a local place that was doing them, and they were like, "Yeah, the logo is a little too intricate for the equipment I have, so I think I'm gonna have to get some professionally made for us." I think it's about that time. So your T-shirt looks nice though.
Yes, I got one.
Yeah,
That would look great if it was
on a Glencairn.
sandblasted. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so got the prototype. So
Everybody knows Alves is my boy. We got this bottle, so
are you gonna be really critical?
it's just we are, man. We're honest.
Yeah.
So this could be the beginning of the end, man.
It's gonna be a rift.
That's cool.
Loved you.
Yeah.
A lot lasted.
So on the nose of this, I get the. I don't know. You guys might know better than I do, but to me, the sweetness is like a brown sugar sweetness, and then it's like still has a little bit of that nutty quality. And when I say nutty quality, I'm talking about. I remember in the Bottle and Bond, I also had that going on as well, right? But it's more muted and muted in a good way because I'm not sure that I really like. Sometimes when something has a higher nut quality to it, even though I did enjoy the Bottle and Bond, I was a definite buy on that. But the brown sugar really sneaks up like in a really nice and inviting way. There is a little bit right when we first poured it, and just if anybody receives the bottle and you don't do proper tasting and you just dump it out and automatically go right at it, there was a little bit of ethanol coming off of it, but
That has subsided.
Yeah,
though,
now
after
that it's subsided after it's sat for a little bit here. Those are predominant notes I'm getting. I want to say there's a little bit of fruit sweetness too. The fruit sweetness is bordering on like that really, I love like a char cherry note, and I get a tiny bit of that, but it's not quite super intense and pungent like that, but it's got a really nice nose.
I would agree. I helped sort of create this in a way, so I definitely love it. But I do think it's on the sweeter side. Some of the reviews I've kind of seen now that people are, some of our influencers and some of those people are starting to get their bottles is like, this is a fat kid whiskey, which is great. I think
Candy
it's
bars.
Chocolate sweetness with a little bit of nuttiness. There's some oak there. It's pretty traditional, classic bourbon, even though it's not made in Kentucky.
Right.
You guys talked about before, Ben Holladay is such a true bourbon style. Column still, traditional mash. They do sour mash, as classic as I think as it can get, but also something that is familiar, but also unique. Just the flavor profile.
And that's part of what really sets them apart for me. And like we talked about on the Bottle and Bond episode, it's like they're not just sourcing somebody else's stuff that they got to worry about something changing, or can they still source the same barrels and blah, blah. It's their own stuff. So I mean, it's one of those things where like they have a very, very, very high ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh, and we didn't mention on this one. We did mention the previous one. It is a screw cap, just like the Ball and Bond.
Yep.
So it does travel well.
Yeah. And I don't mind that all so much. When we first started doing this podcast, I would be really critical about, corks that would dissolve or like really elaborate, crazy things on top of a cork. And the more that I think about it, and I had no plans on bringing this up, but there's certain things I care about with bourbon and I don't care about. And I'm not sure how much I care about the actual top of the bottle anymore, as long as it keeps the whiskey in there. And that's what it's supposed to do. I don't care if it's a screw cap or not. I mean, I guess that means that there's exceptional packaging, I'll say it, but I'm happy that this is kind of traditional like that.
Yeah, it definitely has. You guys talked about the overall presentation of the the original on the Bottled and Bond. Very much looks like a classic bourbon label. There's some little odes to their history. If you see one thing I've noticed, if you see the Stagecoach, that means it's the OG mash, the rye mash bill.
Okay.
And the weeded is not. The weeded, I think, is the Rick House.
I got you.
I just noticed my bottle is signed as well.
It is, yeah.
Oh, it is
signed by
nice.
Kyle Merkle, the master distiller. So
Now, based on that signature, I think Kyle might owe you a dinner. I don't know if, it's not the fanciest. No, I'm teasing. I'm
You
teasing.
can always count on you for that.
Teasing Kyle.
Oh man. So as we're getting ready to taste this, I think that one of the unique things, and I want to hear more about how you guys decided on 18 barrels and what that process was like, how long it took, and stuff like that. But as we're getting ready to taste, I do think that based on what you said about bourbon lore and how Ben Holladay has their story that we sort of told a couple episodes ago, and will continue to tell as long as they keep putting good product out. Mm-hmm. I think this is an elevated type of thing where if we took Kenny's basement, like you said, in the bottle shear experience that we have down here and the camaraderie that we have, and then you take the camaraderie of barrel picks, right? Mm-hmm. And those kind of things together and elevate them to an experience. Mm-hmm. I honestly think, even without getting ready to taste here, could change my opinion. But I think this is kind of the future. And when I say it's the future, what do people get excited about in bourbon right now? And they get excited about experiences. Mm-hmm. Like, part of this is not just because, okay, you're here, we have a partnership with you, we're friends and everything else, but also to hear everything about this bottle, what went into it. Mm-hmm. And then also, like, it's created already this anticipation for tasting it where I just feel like hopefully I'm going to have a good experience here.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you too. We have bourbon in the last 5 years has completely exploded. Right. And I think for maybe the average person or maybe there's a little bit of fatigue with just like how crazy it is and how much stuff is going on. Right. So in order to kind of change that, I think we've just tried to like push it a little further with what's possible. Mm-hmm. And nothing wrong with barrel picks. Or anything like that. That's not what this is. That was sort of the point. We didn't want to just go and pick a barrel. We're going to do that with other distilleries, but for the first thing that we're really like kind of launching with, we wanted it to be something that we really had our hands in. It was just more than just going into the rick house and picking from 4 barrels.
Plus, if you just pick a barrel,
it's gone.
That's gone. It's like it's going to go to the 200 people that you guys know, and between all of you knowing as many people as you do, that's gone, and it's very exclusive, and it doesn't get into the hands of the regular consumer to create an appreciation.
Yeah, we definitely wanted a lot of people to be able to taste this, and love that we've got the yield that we did, and I think a lot of people are going to be really, really excited. The feedback I've seen from people that were at the distillery yesterday has already been awesome and sort of blown our expectations out of the water. I got sent a screenshot today in our group chat, and it was a guy that was there yesterday, and it was a local guy that seemingly had a lot of Ben Holladay bottles and had tasted a lot of stuff from that distillery. He was like, I'll be honest, I was kind of skeptical. Right. Thought it might just taste like any of the other things that I've had from there. And it doesn't. I was blown away, and I think that's been sort of the consensus so far. Okay.
Well, let's find out then about that consensus. You guys ready to go taste here?
Taste.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Also, Bruce, Russell, and Campari, you're listening to this. 18 barrel blend coming up on the next Russell Spit.
Right. There we go.
Kenny set the stage for the next thing here. All right. Oh my God.
Like cake, like icing. Like,
it is.
Like
sweet.
Fat Boy, like you said, Fat Boy.
It's chewy.
Yeah.
The mouth feels great.
Oh, man.
It's like deep. I think the finish is pretty strong. I wouldn't say it's the longest finish ever, but it's there.
Now, it's 7-year age stated.
Yeah.
What's the oldest barrel in there?
7 years age stated, which we wanted. They've only come out with, there have been, I believe, I don't know this for 100% fact, but I believe that the Justin's House of Bourbon single barrel that we did was the oldest single barrel that they've released at 7 year, like 6 months or something.
Okay.
And so we wanted this to for sure have the 7-year age statement, which is why it kind of took a little longer. We were hoping to have this 100% transparent. We were hoping to have this out before Christmas.
Okay.
Of 2023. Obviously that didn't happen.
We had to have a few things.
But the reason why was because when we ended up going back and looking at the fill dates on the barrels, there were a handful that didn't turn 7 until February. And so we wanted to have the 7-year age statement. But the oldest barrels, and they're almost 8 years old, by like a week. So we bottled this at the end of February, like February 27th or something around there. The oldest barrel in here would have turned 8, I believe, like March 10th or something like that.
Okay.
Which I think is really cool for a couple of reasons. So 7-year age statement, the youngest is 7 years old. The oldest is almost pushing 8. This 2 of the barrels that are in this 18 barrel blend are the first 20 barrels that Holladay ever distilled.
Wow.
The 19th barrel and the 20th barrel. Those are barrels that were ran off the still and filled in March of 2016. Those two barrels are the oldest barrels that have come out of the distillery to this point. Something also super unique about this, because I'm a nerd and I love all the transparency on the bottle. If when you get it, you'll see, tells you what floor, tells you what rick house. It tells you the oldest barrel, tells you the youngest barrel.
Right.
This is also the first ever Ben Holladay product that blends barrels from multiple distilling seasons.
Okay.
So, as anybody who knows bottled and bond, right? You know, one of the rules of bottled and bond, all the whiskey must come from one distilling season.
Right.
If you don't know what that means, distilleries usually run in seasons. There's a spring and a fall. Mm-hmm. You shut down in the summer because it's really hot. You shut down in the winter, and that's when you sort of do like your cleaning and your maintenance and all that stuff, right?
That's when you pretend like you're cleaning.
Correct. Yeah. But like historically, if you go back and look, early editions of BTAC, say like spring or fall, right? This is the first Ben Holladay product that features barrels blended together from multiple distilling seasons, which is why, I'll give Kyle his flowers. Doing the bottled and bond like they do it is so difficult, because they're not very large. They have one rick house, really, that's full. They've got a couple other ones that have, but they have one rick house, really, that's full. So for him to be able to put out a bottled and bond product with a pretty limited number of barrels is pretty impressive to me, because you have to have that one distilling season. So this one's super unique in that regard as well.
Kenny's doing mixology over here while we're talking, and I don't know what he's doing. I'm not going to ask, but I want to say something real quick about the flavors on this. So I am not, admittedly, a great taster of vanilla. I don't get a lot of vanilla in this. I get more of almost like a candy, chocolate cherry kind of note. And then the finish has like you guys were saying, almost like a baked good, kind of like a really sweet baked good sort of finish to it. And it's really pleasant. And the reason why I think there's an absence of vanilla, and I wanted to note that, is because I don't think after all these years that I really like intense vanilla. Are either of you guys getting vanilla in this?
A little bit on the nose, but on the palate, no.
Okay. I just want to double check.
The chocolate's definitely there.
The chocolate's there.
A little bit of cherry.
Cherry or some other fruit similar to that.
It's almost like, okay, so I don't know if people, you know how I tend to pick out things that I can use as a descriptor, but they're not like the traditional way a bourbon person would describe bourbon. What I'm talking about is like a cherry Twizzler, and some people might go, okay, well, cherry Twizzlers are almost medicinal. No, it's not the intense cherry Twizzler.
You're tasting Red 40.
Red 40?
That's what it is.
I don't know. I'm just saying, that's to me kind of where it's like got a very candied confection note. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And I would tell you if I didn't, because I'm not going to lie, I was not looking for another reason to buy a $100 bottle of whiskey, even with the story you just told.
Sure. It's fair.
I can say that.
It's a lot of money, and I understand that for the average, for most people, like a $100 bottle needs to be pretty damn exceptional. Sorry for my cursing.
No, that's fine.
But I think that it is. What I love about it, and this is something David Jennings, who helped work on this, we have talked about since we've both been able to drink this, just the balance of it. Like it is sweet, but it's not just one note sweetness. It's sweet backed up by some savory notes.
Oh yeah,
it's spicy.
The spice hits about, I would say, if you got little 4 waves on this one, it's in the third wave the spice hits right toward the back of the palate, and it's nice. It's not overwhelming.
It's not drying. It's
not drying. Not drawing you up.
It's got sort of all the different. If I was looking on the flavor wheel, it sort of pushes out into each of the 4 sort of quadrants, and that's why I really love it. I mean, I think it's crushable. It's at a great proof point. Really it is.
So is this NCF and everything else, or is just throwing in there?
They don't chill filter anything.
Okay, very good.
So Ben Holladay took the approach of Woodford. This would have about 283 tasting notes if they follow after Woodford.
Yeah, if it's a flavor wheel you're talking about, that's a pretty overwhelming flavor wheel. No,
but it sort of does hit in those major, those sort of major spots of sweet, spicy.
It doesn't taste 7 years old.
It doesn't. It does taste older.
It does taste
which I really love.
Yep.
You know, we're not saying it tastes like a 15-year.
No,
but it probably does taste like a 9-year.
Well, as you're saying that, the one thing that I really appreciate, and you know, you're going to tell me like, okay, we had aficionados and people that know whiskey working on this.
Yeah,
that's fine. But this also speaks to what Ben Holladay is doing.
Correct.
Because you can taste a lot of 7 and 8 year old whiskeys, because you're saying the oldest stuff in here is 8, right? Mm. And they still have grain taste to them, all kinds of other unfinished sort of bourbon flavors that most people, like the average consumer, is like, okay, I'm not spending $100 on unfinished. This is a very complete, nicely tasting, finished. Like when I say finished, I mean like it tastes like it's been aged well. You know what I mean?
There's
not like young, grainy, weird.
For a 7 to 8 year bourbon, blended bourbon.
Yep.
I think there is a refinedness to it, almost an elegance in a way. Like it's not sharp, it's not spiky.
Right.
You're not. There's not anything that turns you off about
zero
it.
sharpness, zero spiky at all.
Right.
And it is not a one-note sweetness, like you said. Even the very front, which is a lot sweeter, it still walks you through 4, 5, 6 different changes of flavor. And you know me, a lot of people hate the word flavor ride. I like that. Flavor ride, I like the change up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
And the front of that does that.
And 100% that goes back to Ben Holladay, their campus, the way that their Rick House is set up, the way that their distillery is built. Kyle and his sort of blending expertise, you know, he was the one that sort of took this home for us.
Right.
When we spent 2 days in Weston, which for people who don't know about Weston, I like to liken it to Midway in a sense.
Kentucky.
Midway, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like imagine a main street like you have in Midway where there's 2 sides and that's all you got really, and then like some houses that surround it. And then a little, 10 minutes up the road is a huge distillery that's been there since 1856 and very much reminded me of Kentucky when I first went there. I didn't realize that outside of Kentucky and Jack Daniels, because MGP doesn't look like this in Indiana, right?
Right.
And if you've ever seen it, it looks kind of like a prison. When I went there, that's what was my biggest takeaway is like, man, someone like picked up Maker's Mark and put it in the Ozarks.
Oh, wow.
And it was beautiful. The scenery is beautiful.
Yeah.
Rolling hills. Like I was like, this feels like Kentucky. And I didn't realize that there were distilleries that look like this outside of Lynchburg or Kentucky.
Yeah.
And it's been there for, I mean, their water source, which they still use today, natural spring water, was found by Lewis and Clark.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And it was, and there's notes that say like, great place to water horses.
Yeah,
like
we
literally.
Know,
and then
we know that same is the best. Yeah, the horse. The horse stuff means also for
water
good
me,
bourbon.
baby.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Ben Holladay, who's from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like his family knew one thing, like how to distill.
Don't
he
worry.
expands west.
I gave like the big and complete history already of this.
So it was just like a natural connection to bourbon lore too.
Yeah.
A lot of American history with Ben Holladay. He was at one time the largest landowner in the country.
A transportation magnate.
He literally founded the Stagecoach and brought that to westward expansion. In 2023, they sort of exploded, and what we've kind of coined, Caroline actually coined this, like the internet's favorite whiskey.
Okay.
For Ben Holladay, because like once the soft red wheat had come out, it just sort of like took off, right?
Right.
So we thought, what's something that is like rich in history, but also new and exciting and gets people excited about the future of bourbon? Like this distillery will be around for a long time.
Yeah.
This isn't a fly by night concepts, right? Like they have they literally waited 6 years to put out a single drop. When we went to them and said, hey, we want to do something cool. We want to do something that nobody's done before. We want to do something that won't ever be done again. What does that look like for you guys? Well, it's not a single barrel pick because, obviously, what does it look like? So they were like, we have 2 things that we've kind of saved.
Right.
It pays homage to where we started. We had an 18-barrel blend and a 56-barrel blend. Why don't you guys do the 18-barrel blend with the OG mash, the bin mash is what they call it, the rye-based mash bill. And then they have since done a 56-barrel blend of the wheated mash that they did in partnership with, for anybody who's in the Midwest, like here we have Kroger. In the Midwest, they have Hy-Vee.
Oh.
It's like a grocery chain.
Yep.
One of the biggest in, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa area. Well, they partnered with them to do a 56-barrel blend of the wheated mash bill, of the soft red wheat, which I think, it's a totally different beast. 56 barrels to 18 barrels is crazy. So we spent 2 days there with Kyle, tasting a bunch of whiskey.
Yep.
And then kind of coming up with these, Kyle had come up with these sort of micro blends. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like none of us are professionals. We are very experienced whiskey drinkers. Myself, Mason, Emerson, Clay, and David Jennings are the people that kind of put this together with Kyle.
Who put this thing together, man? Me. That's who. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I got a little Scarface there.
So in order to save time and sort of give us a little bit of a leg up, Kyle had kind of created these like smaller micro blends of like 3 or 4 barrels. Instead of us having to like pick 18 barrels and throw together, we had these micro blends that would give us sort of a flavor idea. Or, this one is primarily from these floors on this area of the rick house. This is kind of what you're tasting. And so then we were able to we love this kind of core little group, and we love this one. What happens if we put them together? Okay, now we've got a group of 8 barrels.
Right.
What's it missing? Well, it's missing this spice on the end.
So it wasn't like they had 18 barrels set aside.
No.
It was like they had gone through different things and got you.
We had more than 18 barrels of that day that we tried, but they were in just little smaller groups to make it a little easier.
Gotcha.
And then so we ended up coming up with our final list. Kyle went back. Kyle had also created 3 different 18 barrel options. Like, we kind of got to choose what we wanted to do. Like, do we really want to go into the weeds and do it?
Yeah, you guys played,
or do you just want to...
You all are master blenders of the day, pretty much.
Correct, yeah. Here is the 18-barrel blend that I picked, and then we sort of and I think Kyle would tell you that ours was much better.
Oh, yeah.
I think he would tell you that. He told us that day.
Oh, I don't think... Yeah, I met him. He's a
super nice guy.
Super
really
nice
humble.
dude, yeah, absolutely.
But then what he was able to do was kind of take it back, and then once, we're all gone and all the video cameras are gone and all that stuff, all the hilaria that surrounded it all, because we were like traveling deep. There was 20 of us, and there's literally 4 people with cameras and a drone flying.
The satellite truck.
Yeah, it literally was like that for a while, and for 2 or 3 days there in Weston.
Oh my god!
And but he was able to kind of take it past, to the finish line of like, all right, well, these barrels are now going to be 7 years old, and sort of tasting it along the way and figuring out, okay, cool, like we're at a spot, and then we eventually have what we have now.
Nice. Yeah. Well, as we were chatting over here again and celebrating this whiskey, Kenny, what did you do, sir? You gave us a blind.
Gave y'all a little blind. I want you to taste.
Okay.
Hey, man, just because Alves is here, and just because it's his bourbon lore thing, and just because we got the bottle for free, doesn't mean we don't put it through all of the...
put it across. There you go.
We don't put it through the same course as the other bottles we do.
I did have somebody message me one time and said, like, how can we be sure that, when they say that you're blinding, that you guys are blinding? And I said, are you kidding me? I go, if you ever make it to Kentucky, come to Kenny's house. Mm-hmm. There is at least, I don't know how many bottles. I'm going to put a number on it. And when we're down here, you never know what, because a lot of stuff Kenny has is unlabeled too.
There's at least, as far as open bottles, there's at least 475 to 500 opens.
There you go.
We really are blinding.
And that's how you get true blinds.
But we also, I'm not going to lie about blinding either, just because I really do want to remove the label, the price tag. All right, so the whole story we heard earlier about bourbon lore, that's phenomenal.
Right.
But we still got to remove that from, the whiskey.
So the blind that you gave us is, it's softer. I think it's lower proof. Maybe. It's a little buttery. I'm not sure. When I say buttery, I'm not sure if I like the butteriness or not, but it's good.
I like this. I don't know what this is.
I think it's chocolatey too. I get chocolate
buttery.
I thought it was brighter. If I'm like comparing them, a little brighter, not as deep,
right?
Not as dark,
citrusy.
A little more citrusy. Buttery, I think, is a great descriptor. It almost just sort of has that light softness of butter.
Right.
I thought maybe it was a little higher proof, or it might be a little younger.
Really?
Yeah. For some
to
reason,
me, it drank
just
higher
sort of,
proof also.
it just sort of hit me in a little more sting.
Well, I was drinking that, and I wasn't drinking the Ben Holladay, so I didn't, sorry. Let me see here.
Well, so to me, it drank a little higher proof, but
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
but it's not as
I was
I like
back and
this,
forth.
whatever this is. I can't guess.
yes, I like it as well. And then, but the Ben Holladay, went back to it again. It is that cherry. It is that darker, deeper fruit too, though, compared to that.
Yeah.
So lighter is a good description.
Yeah.
And in true Kenny Mills fashion, one more blind
Oh, my God.
to hit against this.
Holy cow.
So
Okay.
here we go. So
Here
this
we
is
go.
One more blind,
Ladies and gentlemen,
and I'm a wait till y'all drink.
I'm going to
this
make sure
until
I keep
tell
the
you what I
Holladay
like.
too, so I can compare the two. Because one thing I'm bad at times is I just had this. I know how I feel about that. Then I have this, and I have to go back and forth to be able to tell. I can't just recall in my brain until I taste it again.
Yeah,
You have that.
you don't have to touch of the tism.
You do. You got that like. I don't know.
No,
It's not even a photographic memory because what are you remembering pictures of? It's like a
Right.
You got this olfactory sort of
Yeah.
memory that is
Super,
just insane.
super smeller. Super taster.
super taster.
Super taster.
You're in the Mensa of tasters. There's Kenny. This is too cinnamony for me.
Yeah, this one I don't like as much. Right off the bat, there just was like sort of like an unrefined sharpness. It just sort of like really went up. Now,
He's got a smile on his face. He's looking really sad. He's looking upset.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, here we go.
I love this one.
I love the finish on this.
Yeah.
The back half, the front just like sort of hit me the wrong way. The back half I really, really like. The finish I think sort of falls off.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I know what this is.
I bet you don't.
There's nothing.
I bet money you don't. No. So,
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, here. Wait.
all right.
I don't know what it is, but it is, to me, after I've tasted all three of these side by side, it's more cinnamony, less of a finish like Alva said. But I don't know. That's all. Not saying it's bad. God, what have you done?
So,
What have you done? Who's going to be like, oh, that's actually the Bourbon Lore Ben Holladay.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong, I guess.
If it is, then I'm going to be very upset
Surprised.
here, Kenny. What have you
Yes.
done, sir?
they made the mistake of giving me this bottle ahead of time.
Don't.
So, what was in the Ben Holladay, what we thought was bourbon lore, I poured it all out into a Boston Round.
You did not.
And I refilled what everybody thought was this bourbon lore 18 barrel blend. I refilled it with something else. And so, no, I'm teasing. I promise I'm teasing. I'm joking.
You had me sweating there for a second. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, my
legit.
God. Come on, dude.
No. So what I did just now, and I can wait to reveal till after past try or buy, or I can reveal now. But I did what I thought was two really, really good blinds to compare this to. So I'd rather reveal after the past try or buy, if that's okay.
Sure.
But I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, because the other thing is I want to own it because, I feel that at the table right now that both of you guys have tasted more whiskey than I have, even though I've tasted whiskey for a long time. And I think that I just want to give my true assessment. So I want to hear what I'm blinded against. But I think that of the blinds you provided, the first one I like better than the second.
This bourbon lore does not taste 7 years old.
No, it doesn't.
I think I agree that the first one I liked more. Nothing was wrong with any of them. It just comes down to preference. The first blind I think I liked more.
Oh, the first blind? Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
But they both seem very traditional too, so it would throw me for a loop if it was something wild.
Yeah.
Like it very well could be a Russell's pick, very well could be, I don't know that it's a Four Roses pick. I don't think it's MGP.
Yeah. So, fellas, would you pass, try, or buy on this 18 barrel blend from Ben Holladay Bourbon Lore?
Well, I think I'll go first because you probably know how Ryan feels. And I said it earlier in the episode, and I'll stick to it again. I was not looking for another reason, even though I know you and I believe in Bourbon Lore based on what you said tonight. I wasn't looking for another reason to believe in a group or a thing or anything that I would have to buy just because I have a lot of whiskey. And you, sir, and Bourbon Lore have changed my mind because, I mean, listen, if I'm going to go back and look at the regular Ben Holladay Bottle and Bond and not say anything bad about it because I thought it was great, but this is leaps and bounds better
$40 more retail, though.
$40 more retail, but I think it's well worth it because I think that if you blinded this, and I think this is a bottle that we're going to want to buy and blind with a lot of other heavyweights, I'm actually going to say it right now. I want this blend to be part of the best of 2024.
Deal?
Okay,
Deal.
you're going to do that?
Yeah,
I think it'll hang. I really do. I think it's exceptional, and I think that I want to have a bottle. So hopefully I can go and sign up for the code and get one because I really do think that it's good. But I'm.
So you're a trial then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Very astute of you, Kenny.
For anyone that's got one open, I will try it.
Yeah, if I got one open, I'll try it. But I do think that I will buy solidly on this, especially at $100. I think that's the right price. Think about it. You got other bottles that you don't even know who's producing, what they're doing at 120 to 150 bucks all over the shelves right now. They're littered all over the shelves. Yeah. And this, you're getting something that is, I think that it shows through that the collaboration you guys did with them worked, and y'all's process was great. So, yeah, I'm going to buy.
One of the biggest things that I cannot express enough on this is exactly what Ron said. There's no sharpness and no bite on the front because a lot of bourbons that are not either at minimum 11 to 13 years old or from traditional heritage distillers we're used to, they have a sharpness to them.
Right.
That's like, okay, I get chocolate, I get sweetness, I get a good nuttiness, I get a long finish, but I still have to ignore, there's a little bit of a bite, but I got to ignore that because I like the rest of it about it. This doesn't have that. Right. So this does not even remotely drink 118.6 proof, like not even remotely drink that. So I myself also am a buy, but to show that I was not biased, I will, after Alves goes, he's a buy.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say you're a buy, right?
Yeah, I'm a buy, and I hope everybody else is too, obviously, like being 100% transparent. Obviously, I'm the retailer for it.
That doesn't matter, though. Like, honest to God, I wouldn't even...
But you know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure
saying,
people understand that. Also, too, I want to point out that at the distillery yesterday, they were cheaper at the distillery.
Okay.
Because I know that that's going to come out eventually, or people will, say whatever. There's a little bit of a difference. Hopefully, people understand this. A bottle that gets sold as a gift shop exclusive, and there are some, from what I understand, there are Missouri laws that allow them to self-distribute in a way.
Right.
You basically can sell your own products in your own gift shop
without having to go through
the free tiered system. So please understand that there is a $20 difference in what was sold at the distillery yesterday and what will be sold on Bourbon Outfitter. That's purely based on the three-tiered system and how it has to go from.
But also people that got it, they drove with their own gas, their own time to go get it.
Right, I agree.
You all are shipping this, and you all also have to have some, it's one of those things where if a $100 bottle breaks, you have to replace it for free.
Right.
So it's one of those things where there are some added cost factors in that as well.
I got to pay taxes. I got to pay
right.
To ship 6 pallets of whiskey is not cheap. I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
And to do it in a not take a month, to get it there in a reasonable time, and to hit our deadlines wasn't cheap. So they're just added costs that go into when you take something through the three-tiered system, and to a retailer. So that I just wanted to address that. Yes, I'm a buy. I bought a case, so I can.
There you go.
Yeah, and I got to handpick my bottle numbers, which was super fun for me. So I got to pick all my favorite
money mouth.
Yeah,
I love it. Put the money where the mouth.
Got to, but yeah. So I'm super proud of it, and I hope that people love it. I do think that it will do very well against other things that are appropriately priced.
I agree.
Things that maybe are a little more expensive, and I think that there's going to be enough of a difference in things that are cheaper to sort of make it worth it.
Okay.
All right. So,
here we go. We'll find out. Ryan. We'll find out the reveal. Here's the blinds reveal.
So, how did you all like the two blinds compared to the Holladay? I know the second blind you didn't like as much as the first blind. So, first blind compared to Holladay, where were you at on? Worse, better, indifferent?
I'll go. I don't
they're
know
not really
that,
blinds because you know which one the Holladay is.
I don't know that. I would say that either of them are worse or much better. I think that I liked all of them, sort of, at the same kind of level. I think if I had to edge one, the first of the two blinds I liked more.
Yeah.
I can't say that I liked it more than the 18 barrel. I didn't like it. It wasn't leaps and bounds worse.
And I keep in mind the Holladay though is not getting blinded because y'all know what the Holladay is,
right?
So you kind of got to go unblind, but the first blind compared to the Holladay, so you're kind of indifferent on them.
Yeah, I think that
Anthony.
Yeah.
Indifferent, or you like the Holladay better, or?
I think I like the Holladay better, but if there was a contender to challenge it, it would have been the first one. I think the second one, because I know I'm a tater with Buffalo Trace. I feel like the second one is something that's BT, because a lot of BT stuff I've had lately has been very cinnamon forward, and whatever we tasted is very cinnamon forward in the second blind.
Okay.
And it's gonna really, Anyway,
I love the second one.
We'll see. You love the second one.
I do.
Well, if you love it, then I'm shocked here. We got to go with it.
So the two blinds I picked, I would both be quote unquote buys on.
Okay. So I'm not saying I wouldn't buy them.
So I did put two buys against the Ben Holladay.
Oh my God, I'm gonna feel like an idiot here.
No,
it's coming.
The first blind that y'all both like better is the Penelope Railbird that I blended.
Oh,
my little blend on that.
That's a good.
That
one.
Was $89.
And also MGP, and I said it was.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, it was $89.
$89,
yep.
Right? So $89 compared to $99 bottle,
which is not. Yeah, I didn't say I liked it better than Ben Holladay, but I liked it. Yeah,
but I'm right there. So
you're right there. Yeah.
I picked one that was similar pricing point to the Holladay just to see.
Yep.
The second one, believe it or not, is a $150 bottle.
Ooh.
But the reason I picked it is a 7-year-old $150 product.
Do you know what it is?
And the Ben Holladay is a 7-year-old $100 product. So the second one that I'm blinded with.
Oh no! God,
is an Alves pick.
Ooh, wait a minute. What is this?
Old Louisville Shorty. It's a twice barreled MGP, 7-year MGP.
Okay.
I love this. I think it's going to kill in the blinds this year.
Okay.
So
well,
interesting.
But the reason I picked that is it's a $150 bottle that is 7-year-old compared to a $100 bottle that's 7 years old.
And you've put me in a really bad position here because I don't have any stake in any of this. I'm going to say this. I like the Ben Holladay better than that.
That's fine. That's why we blind, dude. That's why we blind. I wanted to because here's the thing. We got this bottle for free.
Right.
And Alves is sitting literally right there. So
I'm insulting you, Ryan.
No.
That's okay.
No. But that's why I had to run it against something else that's in the same pricing point,
right?
And then something else that's in the same 7-year age that's more expensive.
Gotcha.
Just so people know that we're like this is for the Ben Holladay, our legit buy. All three of us are buys.
Right.
Is real. So so whenever
I appreciate that. God,
I would have not. Guess that was,
dude. I love that old Louisville pick you did.
I loved it too. I loved it when we picked it. Obviously, It didn't taste like super double oak to me for whatever reason.
But I agree on this old Louisville pick. The finish was a lot better than the front. I think because that front side of that Ben Holladay, the very front side of the Ben Holladay is stupid. Like it's like 5 different changes of different types of sweetnesses and stuff in the very front. So that's pretty amazing.
Well,
Ryan, you've been humbled.
I've been humbled. I am proud of the old Louisville.
No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
there are still some for sale, by the way.
Are there still some for sale?
Yeah.
How are they still left?
I don't know. There was,
I bought 3, I think. These are phenomenal. I might go on and get some more.
I'm not dogging. I would have passed on any of these whiskeys that you didn't blind or whatever, but I do think that it's also really interesting to see how different distillate plays into these blends and everything else, and this has been really fun, man. I mean, this has been like a really good experience here.
I don't know how many barrel picks I've been on, and sometimes I have
Cannot imagine, dude.
Gosh,
sometimes I have to just take a step back and like look at it as perspective of like, all right, is this the best thing I've ever done?
Right.
Or was it the best that day?
Or is it I've got an option, and I'm pretty picky, and I don't think I've ever been in a position where I've had to just like walk away.
Right.
We've declined stuff before based on just, certain aspects, but usually when I show up, I'm showing up because I believe in the place that I'm going.
Right.
There's already factors that are playing into my favor there. And so I thought the day we picked the old Louisville, it was the best whiskey that it had in a couple of days.
Right.
It has a tiny bit of that sharpness on the front.
It does.
See, that's the thing.
Exactly.
And
I
that's
think
what
I said that.
That's what I'm saying is that the thing about the Holladay, because I love all the flavors on this old Louisville, even though it still has a little bit of a sharpness, whereas this Holladay does not have that sharpness at all, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and
the proof is 116 on the old Louisville, 118 on the Holladay.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yep.
It just did not taste double oak to me, so I wasn't able to get that. I don't know.
And that's why we blind. So
Sure.
the reason I did those is I wanted everybody to know that we were not just like saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to buy the Ben Holladay because we got a free bottle in Ron's here." I mean,
No,
if
if
this Ben Holladay 18 barrel blend from Bourbon Lore is legit, it's very good.
If I may to say one more time, I think the future of what we're doing right now, bourbon, and how we kind of went through this massive wave that happened like right around COVID where it peaked and people started to go like, oh, like I'm not sure how I feel about this, that, or the next thing, or you might not want to buy another bottle of Henry McKenna, that kind of stuff. I'm really, really excited about this. I think that it's an amazing representation of what a
And
what,
Scott's is selling for that. I mean,
can we call Ben Holladay craft distiller or not?
Man,
I'm
not sure if we can.
I don't want to.
I don't want to either, but
I
I'm
don't
just
want
saying,
to.
if
but,
we did,
but,
I mean, dang.
6 years is 7 years now, or whatever is not a super long time compared to others,
right?
But they don't.
But it's all from the ground up, and
they don't make whiskey in a craft sense, right?
Yeah.
This is something, and I'm just piggybacking on what Anthony just said. Everybody asked me, and actually when you sent over the show notes like a little bit today, there's one little area in there that talks about like, the future of bourbon.
Right.
And I think this kind of plays into that. People ask me that all the time, like when we've been hearing it for years, like, is the bubble going to burst?
Right.
Is the jump the shark?
Is the boom over?
Is the boom over?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's my kind of viewpoint on it. Oh, for one, I hope not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if it is, then I'm out of a job. And so I don't want to be out of a job.
No, absolutely.
But the reason why I want to involve myself and people that I care about and like-minded people in these things is to make sure that it doesn't die.
Right.
I want to push it forward.
Right.
And there are a lot of people that I think if it bursts, they're going to be, SOL.
Right.
And I don't want to see that to happen to those people. I like a lot of them. Mm-hmm. So instead of me worrying about like, is it crashing? Look at all the crappy things that are happening.
Right.
Whatever it is, whether you're mad about pricing or availability or any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't focus on that. I try to focus on doing what I can to push it forward in a positive way. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see it die. Right. So why not, instead of focusing on all the negatives that could kill it, why not put my energy into something that could push it forward? And I think that's where all of us were with Bourbon Lore. We're all at a point in our careers. We've all been very blessed to own, to drink, to share, to have experiences that are second to none. Uh-huh. Well, let's just kind of keep pushing that forward. I don't want the bourbon boom to go away. I met some of the best friends in my life. I've made some of the best connections in my life. Bourbon changed my life, truly. Mm-hmm. And so things like this, opportunities like this, to align yourself with other people that think similarly and do something that is not only new, unique. This will never be done again.
Right.
There's not going to be an 18-barrel blend next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm going to say this. If this is the first mark and a step of pushing it forward, I'm really freaking excited. And I wanted to say that I truly do appreciate you sharing this bottle with us, and I hope that our listeners and other people appreciate this as much as we did.
No, I mean, I'm hope when this hits a Friday that there's still maybe a few left on the website for our listeners to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. So
if not, I'll try to buy 6 cases and have them here. I can't guarantee that.
Again.
I know. So hopefully, come Friday, there's still bottles available, and then hopefully by Saturday, it's all gone.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY.
Don't forget to visit our partner, bourbonoutfitter.com. Enter code The Mashup for a special discount.
Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.